everyone, Roxanne here from FinanceRocks.com. Thanks for hopping on today. I'm really excited to be interviewing my very good friend, Rebekah, and she is, I consider to be very frugal, one of my frugalest friends. And we've shopped together quite a bit, so I feel like I have I have the authority to say that she is, in fact, quite frugal. And I wanted to talk to her today about the mindset behind saving money and what she does to, you know, kind of be frugal to save money. All right, so Becca, do you want to go ahead and tell us a little bit about yourself?
Hi, guys. So yeah, like Roxanne said, we grew up together. I am currently in law school, about to start my final year. Previously to going back to law school, I was working as an RN. So I had my bachelor's in nursing, worked as a nurse for 6 years, and then after 6 years of working, decided it was time to go back to school, and I chose to go to law school, and I have 1 year left to go. I'm really excited to be done.
Almost there.
Almost there.
Hang in there. Now, I kind of gave a spoiler alert, but do you believe that you are frugal?
Yes.
Okay. Do you want to kind of tell us kind of more of your background and how you came to be a frugal person?
Okay, so I grew up in a family of 6. I was the oldest of 6 people. My mom stayed at home. My dad worked, and he was supporting 6 kids on an RN's wage. My dad is also an RN. My parents instilled in me very early on the value of a dollar, if you will, and just how to make the most out of what you have and how to feed 6 kids with whatever you had around, and how to save money and how to make sure that, like, whatever it is you're spending on your vacations, on your food, or whatever is the best use of that money that you can have, and like how to like say like, well, this is what we have for right now, so you're just gonna have to make do with what you have and be okay with making do with what you have at that time.
Yeah, and that's I wanted to ask Becca this question because I really am interested in learning about the kind of internal monologues that people have with each other, or that people have with themselves when they are shopping, making purchases, making decisions about how to use their money. You know, the back and forth. And this comes from my own experience with, you know, deciding whether or not to spend money on things. You know, you might end up saying to yourself like, oh, I can afford it. And, you know, maybe that influences you to buy it. Or you might say something that Becca has said, which is that, you know, I can go without. So do you want to talk a little bit about how you learned about I can go without and kind of what impact that has on your shopping?
Yeah, so that's kind of a phrase that my dad always told us, and as we were growing up and, you know, we wanted something, or as we got older, we would talk to our dads. I would talk to my dad about, like, things that I wanted to buy, or I'd ask him, like, Dad, like, you have the money to get it, why don't you just get it? And he would say things like, well, I don't need that right now, or I don't need it at all, and I can do without. I already have whatever it is that he was looking at buying, and what he had worked fine, but he just wanted something newer. Like, my dad's a big hunter, so if it came to new hunting, whatever, he would say, you know, I can do without. And that's a common phrase. I would say I say that to myself, if not daily, I would say multiple times daily. Like, do you really need this? How is this going to affect you? How is this going to benefit you? Can you go without? Like, how much are you going to regret not purchasing this thing like a month from now, or even a week from now? Are you still going to be wishing, man, that was a really good deal, I really should have bought that? I could say that there's probably like 0 times in my life that I said, man, I really wish that I would have spent the money on that with whatever things I've been looking at to purchase, or food, clothing, whatever. I've never really regretted not buying something.
So I really like that you said, you know, that your dad would say it to himself out loud. And that was kind of how you learned about it. You know, it wasn't like him saying to you, you can go without, or was it?
No, he never would tell me that I can go without. He would always just say that that was something that he said to himself, like, you can go without. Like, he wasn't ever telling me, like, do you really need that? Especially once I was an adult, like, I can make my own decisions as far as finances go. But I would always think that, like, how many times my dad or my mom would say, we don't need it. Like, we don't need it right now. We're going to be fine without. We're not going to die if we don't buy this. We'll be fine without it. We're We're not going to be sad. We're not going to be really even that inconvenienced. And maybe we would be inconvenienced, but it wasn't anything that was not insurmountable.
Okay. And one of the things I really like about it, too, is that it's more empowering. You know, it's like, I can go without. So, you know, it's like, I can do it. Like, it's almost like a positive statement compared to, like, don't spend money on that. Like, you don't need that. Which, I mean, can be used almost interchangeably, but one of the things I really liked about it was, like, the positive aspect of, like, I can go without. Like, it's kind of like dual meaning, right?
Right.
I physically can go without, and also I can go without.
Exactly. Just like, and a lot of times too is like, once you decide not to make that decision, like, you're like, oh, okay, like, yeah, it was hard at the time, and like, maybe, you know, I'm still, like, as you walk out of the store, you're still kind of sad, but, like, honestly, it's more empowering to be like, okay, I saw that, it was something I really liked, I made a decision not to get it, and that was hard, but I did it, and I'm okay.
So a lot of people just go ahead and buy, you know, whatever purchase that they want, that they have money to buy at the time. And so I don't think that a lot of people get a lot of practice not buying something and then getting to experience whether or not they regret it. So you must have had, and tell me if you think this is wrong, but you must have had experiences where when you were growing up or when you were a young adult where you said no to things and then later were really glad and grateful that you didn't buy it, even though at the moment you felt like you really wanted it. So,
do you want like an example from when I was growing up, or a recent example?
Yeah,
or
sure. Some examples of times where you've passed up on things and then, you know, been glad that you hadn't.
I would just recently, like not even a month ago, there is this dress that I was looking at. I really wanted it, and I knew that I would wear it a lot, and I liked it, and I'd been wanting one, but it was, for where I am now, a poor college student, probably not the best decision for me to make this purchase, even though I would wear it a lot. I know that I would really like it, but I am a poor college student, and I knew further down the line I was going to be stressed because my finances were low, because that's just the nature of the beast right now. And as the month progressed, I was looking at my finances and saying, man, like, now I'm really glad that I didn't buy that, because that's $50 less when you only have, you know, a certain amount of money. $50 can be a lot. That can be like part of your cell phone bill or my internet bill that I wouldn't have been able to pay because I bought this dress that is not going anywhere. I can always find another t-shirt dress. I'm not going to be like, well, that's the only time in my life I'm ever going to be able to buy that. So that's one time that just happened very recently that I'm really glad that I didn't, because I know that I would have been stressed, even more stressed about it moving forward.
So you highly value not being stressed out about money.
Yes, I highly value it, and currently right now it does not happen very often that I'm not stressed about money. But that's just the point of my life. That's just the point of my life that I'm in, and I knew going from making money as a nurse to being a poor college student that it was going to be something that I would have to adjust to.
Require the sacrifice.
Right, and that's just how life is right now.
So someone watching this who is a YOLOer, what would you say to them that might say, you know, you could die a week from now. Wouldn't you have rather have gotten to experience that week with this awesome dress that you loved?
No.
Just no.
No, I just, the way I look at it is like, okay, so I enjoyed this dress, and how much joy did it really bring me? You know, and versus being stressed because now I have to go and be like, hey, mom and dad, can you kind of like, can you help me out? Like, that's so much more stressful. The amount of stress that I experience from something like that significantly overrides the amount of joy that I would get from a purchase. Like, the stress that I get affects me more than the joy that I would get, in a negative, in a bad way. Like, they are opposite each other, but yeah, the amount of stress that I experience is not worth the joy that I would get from this dress that I liked, and it just isn't worth it to me.
It's hard because I know that is not very common, so I don't really know how to, like, piece out, you know, like, what, you know, how that kind of came to be. Like, you can say, because, you know, you wanted it, you had that impulse, which is, you know, normal, and then you were able to say, you know, talk yourself out of it. So, yeah, what advice do you have for people to talk themselves out of purchases when they're in the heat of the moment, to get kind of that step back and clarity on, is it really worth it?
I think the best thing would be to like look at it and say, okay, is this going to be like a once in a lifetime thing? How is this going to affect me? How is this going to affect my finances or like my stress or anything a month from now? Is this something that I really, really, truly, truly have wanted? Or is it just something that you kind of think on a weekly basis, like, oh yeah, I'd really like to have one of those, and then the opportunity comes up to buy one, and you're like, oh well, I've wanted one, but is it something that you've really been like thinking about and looking at, and something that you really truly know is going to have a good impact on you later on? Like, how much of an impact is a new dress really going to have on me? Is it really going to make me that much happier? And I mean, you hear all the time about like buyer's remorse. Like, people buy this thing hoping that it's going to be like this great experience, and they're really going to appreciate the thing that they bought. And it turns out that like that high that you're expecting to get really isn't that good, or as good as you thought it was going to be.
Yeah, like more short-lived.
Right.
Kind of.
Right.
Yeah, and I feel like there's a component here to this quote, I can go without, that also makes it a little easier, you know, that helps with that decision making, which is the time component. So if you're saying right now I can go without, that doesn't mean somewhere down the line, you know, that you will be able to. It just means right now I can go without.
Right.
Right. And so if you're saying to yourself, you know, I can go without, I'm not going to buy this right now, it doesn't mean you'll never buy that or something like that. It's kind of just delaying based on, you know, your needs right now.
Yeah, exactly. There's been a lot of times where I've said, you know, I can go without, and then when the time comes and I have it in my finances, and be like, okay, you've been saying you can go without now for a long time, for years with some things, you know, maybe with smaller things, you're like, okay, I can't get that like these past couple months, but maybe come this time when I'm working, or when I've made a little bit more money, or I've budgeted a little bit differently, I can get it. It doesn't mean, no, you can never get that thing. It just means like right now, it's probably not the best time, or you don't really need this thing right now. And try, if you really want it that badly, try to figure out a way, or be okay with just like waiting or delaying that gratification of buying whatever it is that you were looking at.
Okay. Yeah, and that was one of the things that I liked about it, is that, you know, it's different than saying I can't buy this, or, you know, I can never have this. It's, you know, just different language that kind of also helps support that, and what I think makes it a helpful tool to have, to be able to say yourself, I can go without. Now, I have my own, like, expressions that I use to talk myself off the ledge when I'm thinking about buying something. This was one I just heard about from Rebekah and thought that it was great. And I hope that you guys got a lot of value out of it. Feel free to like and share this video. Ask any questions below. And until next time, I hope your finances rock. Bye. Hi everyone, Roxanne here from FinanceRocks.com. Today I have back my, oh god, I just did it. I just referenced the other video. Like the third sentence. Okay, alright, get my shit together.
This is the thing though, so are you going to say when I'm on there again, like in the next one, I have back? I think so you already.
I don't know what I'm doing.
I think you should just post that one first and then post this one.
Okay.
And that way you could say, okay, you guys, I have back. Like,
yeah.